Broadcasting from the classic city, Athens, Georgia, it's the Ratio Podcast, live featuring Johnny Ray. We are coming to you live from the lab at Cine, Athens' only independent art house cinema. Tonight's episode features the word and music of Athens' own Ishues, and the return of comedic all-star, Farrah Johnson. I'm Jack Slayton, inviting you to come with us and enjoy tonight's edition of the Ratio Podcast Live. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Johnny Ray.
How's everybody doing? Thank you for coming. Oh my God, it's so good to see so many friends here. My name is Johnny Ray, and this is the Ratio Podcast, so welcome everybody. And if I could get you to welcome my dastardly good-looking co-host there, Jack Slayton. So tonight, before we get going, and tonight on the show, as you well know, we have Issues, which is going to be, everybody give it up for Issues. And we've got comedic champion Farrah Johnson returning, and yes, it's going to be awesome. So just before we get started tonight, a little bit, rather than screaming F words at you like I usually do, I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the things that makes Athens so special. You know, and it is the arts. It's an artistic community. So during pandemic and these last years, you know, when anything to do with the arts always seemed to be the first thing to go, or the first thing they would even talk about getting rid of. And that's crazy to me, because arts are the soul of any community, you know, any artistic community. And Athens is that, and it takes everybody. It takes painters, it takes poets, it takes rappers, it takes writers, and when everybody works together, it really does create this artistic bubble that so many people talk about. And it's a really amazing thing here in Athens. Not only does it become a bubble, it grows stronger, and eventually it radiates out. Just positivity, inspiration to people that need it, and all that goodness comes back to us. And when we work together and we go see people's shows, we go see people's art showings, we're doing really necessary things, you know, just for our friends' mental health and stuff. And it's amazing to me. If you have any inclination in the arts, you should totally go for it. You know, paint that picture, write that screenplay, write that book, you know, write that song, pick up an instrument, you know, because doing that, you're not going to be any wiser tomorrow if you don't take a step today on what you need to do, you know. And I know some people, you know, you don't have an artistic bent, much like me. And I am a cheerleader for the arts, and I'm proud to be that, you know, and you can go and support people, go to shows, you know, but, you know, try and focus on the positive, because I've seen lists lately, you know, and they're all funny, some of them, but it's like the 10 worst albums of the year, the 50 worst movies of the year. Why waste your time with that kind of energy? You know, focus on the positive. Talk about the 10 movies that you really like and you want to share with people, or bands or anything. I mean, anyone that would write any of those lists, I have 2 words for them: fuck off, and get to what you're doing. You know, put something out positive into this world before you're just trashing what people take long, just months, even years to create. You know, they're bearing their soul in every way to you, and it's a wonderful place to be. So would love to just let's give a hand for Athens, man. And there are so many artistic communities around the world. This is just one, but you know, they all have the same kind of vibe. I've been to most of them. Well, not most of them, but many of them. But I just wanted to scream kind of to the treetops that everybody, you know, if you want to get on it, get on it. You know, time's wasted Isn't that right, Jack?
Absolutely right.
How you doing, sir?
Doing good, doing good.
Well, tonight, me and Jack are going to talk about, we got Klon's got his movie night, Dyson does his thing, and there's Bad Movie Night here. There's all kinds of things at Flickr, so we just felt like, wow, we need to jump into that very crowded pond and have our own movie night. So we're going to be having Ratio Podcast Movie Night here. You'll hear about it this spring, but I do know the first two movies we're going to show. We're going to show the Jimmy Wang Yu classic, Master of the Flying Guillotine. And we're also going to show Simon, King of the Witches. So, you'll be hearing about this soon, and we hope you all come out and enjoy our drink specials and all that good stuff, and we'll all gather here, eat a bunch of popcorn, and watch movies. So what else has been going on?
Well, not a whole lot.
Well, the weather.
We've been spending a lot of time planning these, what we've got so far.
Right. Well, these, the weather has been going kind of crazy lately.
Yeah, the weather's always
We're glad that everybody now out west is getting good because, down here in the South, this time of year, March, is like a psychedelic experience. You need to pack a winter coat and a swimsuit just to enjoy the day. But thanks for everybody for coming tonight. Let's get our first guest out here, Ishues.
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
say hello to Ishues.
How y'all feeling out there? Yeah. Happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have a legend on the stage with me tonight. So,
Wow.
I just want to get going. Let's talk about your early days. You're from New Jersey, and how did you get into hip hop and the arts? What were some of your first steps?
Well, as far as the arts, I've been an artist all my life. Like as far as I can remember back, I've always been into drawing and mainly into drawing, illustration, and stuff like that. I didn't start broadening my scope as far as different levels of artistic expression until, much later on, teenage years and stuff like that. My origin story is kind of unique, right? I was born in D.C. I was born in Washington, D.C., but my mother is from Trenton, New Jersey. So when I was like 2, my mother moved us back to Trenton, New Jersey, away from my father. My father, who was from D.C., him and my mother wound up splitting up. So she went back to Trenton, New Jersey. Then she met what most people will call my stepfather, but I've never called him my stepfather. I just consider him to be my father. So she met him. He's from Atlantic City, Pleasantville, New Jersey. So around that area. So between the two, that's pretty much kind of where my story starts. But from there, like we moved to Philadelphia, we moved to Oakland, California for a little bit. We lived in New Orleans for a little while, and then I made my way to Georgia. And then from Georgia, like after high school, I moved back up to New Jersey, and that's kind of where my maturation process as an MC, as a hip hop artist started when I moved back to New Jersey. I mean, it didn't really start there. It kind of started here, my later years in high school. Mm-hmm. I just used to mess around with poetry and stuff like that. I was always into drawing and color pencil and stuff like that, but I kind of got into poetry. I've always been a hip hop head my whole life. Love hip hop ever since. That's pretty much been my choice of genre of music since I started listening to music. So I started first, as a part of a group. Then I moved up to New Jersey, back to New Jersey. My cousin had some opportunities working with legendary producer Darkchild. A lot of those things didn't come to pass, but that's kind of how he lured me up there. He was like, I'm working on something with Darkchild. Darkchild is from Pleasantville, New Jersey, and he goes to church with my family. So that was kind of like he was like, yo, come up here. He had heard me rap before. So he's like, come up here. I got this idea for this group we're going to put together. So I went up there for that, and then that kind of, during that process, I just honed my skills. And then once I came back down, I married my wife. We had a daughter. and then my family started. So then I'm like, what am I gonna do? So that's when I decided to go solo as an artist, move back down to Georgia, and that's when Ishues was born.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad that you did move back down
Thank
here.
you.
Well, when you take this journey into like making it like kind of a professional thing, for lack of a better word, what were some of your first big opportunities once you got down here, as far as people you were working with and shows you were getting on?
Well, I kind of when I first got here, I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in. But I knew I was good at one thing. I could freestyle battle. That's when freestyle battling was kind of the big thing. That's when 8 Mile was a big movie. But I grew up in like that culture. Like battle culture now is a little different. Like you get time to prepare and script out a whole bunch of words that you want to say and act out stuff and bring, people in there to help you and props and all this other stuff. But when I came up, battling was just on the spot. You didn't know who you was gonna battle. You didn't know what skill set they was bringing to the table. And you gotta be able to pick them apart off the top of the head. So I was really good at that. So when I first got here, that's all I really wanted to do. So I started battling. In Atlanta, doing all of the battle federations in Atlanta, MC War, Mike Club, Break Atlanta, all these different things. There was different battles going on here in the city. So I was kind of known for that first, just battling. And then I got the opportunity when I ran into Hano Leathers, shout out to him, and he had first started Attica Sound. So really, that's really where it started. DJ Crisis, I got with DJ Crisis, he gave me some beats. Hano gave me some beats, and I started writing songs. And that's kind of how it started, and from there, it just was kind of a slow grind. It wasn't necessarily too much of, being put on a whole bunch of platforms with different people. It was really a slow grind.
Yeah.
I think I've had a lot of different opportunities. I know one of the major ones was I got the honor and the privilege to play Music Midtown one year, so that was really big. So I kind of always found myself in like South by Southwest or Music Midtown. And then even when I did Music Midtown that year, I was directly in between the Strokes and Offspring, which were both big that year. So
Yeah.
my crowd, like the crowd I had in front of me was crazy. So just different. It was like one thing led to another, one opportunity led to another, and where I just let my talent and my tenacity speak for itself. And that's just kind of how the door started to open up.
Well, when you moved from New Jersey down to here, what was the scene like? What was the difference in the scene here when you got back down to Georgia?
Well, the hip hop scene was pretty much non-existent. As it's a hip hop scene here now.
Yeah.
There wasn't a hip hop scene there. It was a hip hop scene in the local areas, right? Like I grew up with like he go by Della the tycoon, but he used to be Earl and the Twin Boys, right? I went to high school with Earl. So like I knew, Amun Ra, Cedric Huff. Like I knew all of those guys, but it was basically came out of like the local hip hop scene or the local rap scene, which there was a local hip hop scene. But the local community and the rest of Athens didn't necessarily mix, didn't coexist. I remember I used to get a lot of stuff, people say like, you part of that downtown, you part of that downtown community. Everybody always seemed, it was like the local and the downtown community. That's just kind of how they phrase it. So downtown, it wasn't a lot of hip hop. It really wasn't any. They didn't really play it in the clubs. Wasn't a lot of it. Wasn't a lot of opportunities to perform. So what I would do is I would do battle of the bands. They would have a battle of the bands at certain clubs. I would enter them knowing I wouldn't win because I'm an MC. I don't have a band. But it was just so I can just be heard. I just wanted to be downtown, I remember when I first got here, I looked at Georgia Theater. I was like, man, I would love to perform there. They was like, they don't do hip hop at Georgia Theater. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And do a course of time and some moves made and this and that. I wound up doing my album release party at Georgia Theater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that really was just kind of the thing. Was like, I didn't necessarily, even though I went to high school here, I knew a lot of people locally, a lot of people respected me, but I didn't make music for the local community because my influences didn't, even though I went to school here in Athens, I did a lot of my growing up here. I also did growing up in New Orleans. I've also did growing up in New Jersey. I've also done growing up in New York. I've also done growing up in Philadelphia and so forth and so on. So this is where my influences come from. So I don't necessarily, the music and stuff that I was putting out wasn't necessarily aligning with a lot of the music that was coming out. It wasn't aligning with like Low Down and Duddy. Shout out to them. I got an album coming out with Duddy Kent. But a lot of my compatriots that came here, they had a different sound and a different vibe that catered to the certain neighborhoods and the local community. I didn't do that, so I kind of stuck out. So I had to make my bones just either battling or, I would do a lot of shows at UGA and stuff like that. And then I would have people from the community who knew me personally and respected me personally. They would start to come out, and then they would start to see me. And then slowly but surely, more people started, the show started to be a little bit more mixed and stuff like that. So that's just kind of how it was, but it was a very, very big contrast to what it is now.
Right,
sure.
right. Well, you sound like you've just had a journey, man, and it's so interesting. You were talking to me about you were almost signing to Wu-Tang. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this was around the time it was me and my cousin. We were a duo called the Dynasty, and when I got with him, he put me through this process called freestyle boot camp. And he's really gifted, just off the head, just really gifted. And so we spent some time in the dungeon, just working on getting me up to par with him. And then we would freestyle back and forth at each other. And then after that, we would spend whole days just riding around with each other. And we would say, okay, we're not going to speak to each other unless we freestyling. So we would play beat tapes the whole day. And the whole day that we would just discipline ourselves when we speaking to anybody, whenever we're around each other, if we're communicating to each other or anybody else, we freestyling over a beat. And we would just do that all day long. So we got to the point where after doing that, up there during that time, this was like late 80s, early 90s, right? Well, early 90s, right? Wu had just dropped. No, Wu had been out for a couple years. By this time, like Killer Army was out. A lot of the Wu affiliates was out, stuff like that, right? But we was in New Jersey just mopping up things. We was just, anybody that looked like they rhymed, let's battle. That was just the culture, you know what I'm saying? You see somebody, they might just have a certain look, like, oh, you rhyme? Yeah, I rhyme, let's battle. And then we just battle right there, So we kind of built up this reputation around the area. We were just cleaning everybody out because we had this unique ability to, we would start going and you couldn't tell where one end and where the other one begins. He would come in, he knew exactly where to come in on mine, I knew exactly where to come in on his. And when we was grooving, we could be in a room full of people who rhyme or battle. It'll end up just being us two going back and forth, laughing and stuff like that, right? So we kind of developed a reputation for that. And we met up with a friend of mine, well, it was his cousin, and he used to produce for Old Dirty Bastard. Like, he was one of the producers of the Wu-Tang. So we went to New York. We went to New York. We met with him. We went to his apartment. We freestyled for him. We, did our little thing. And he was like, yo, I'm about to take you over here to the building, right? They went to the Wu building. This was in the Billie Holiday building in New York. And we went, and we got there, and it was like, the scene was unreal. This was that time when they was kind of like at the apex. So the amount of people that they had out there, like, you couldn't go in there and say something like F Wu-Tang or something like that, right? Like, man, it's just like, it was just an unimaginable amount of people, right? And everybody is pretty much God body and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be. So you walk up, tell them your name, like, what's today's mathematics and all this other stuff. So it was a long process just to get through all that and go up in the elevator, and we went upstairs to the studio. So Papa Wu was there, rest in peace. Papa Wu was there, and a whole bunch of Wu affiliates. It wasn't really none of the main like Method Man and the RZA, wasn't none of the main artists there, but it was all like Wu affiliates. Like, they had the whole building on lock, and they had the Wu studio, right? So he told us, he said, look, y'all gonna be my secret weapon. When I say go, y'all go, right? So we up there, there's a whole bunch of MCs and everybody's, I'm this, I'm that, I'm da 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 da. So he finally turned us loose, and we went, and then somebody, so we in there, we battling individual pockets of people, and then next thing you know, we just running through people. And then it ends up just like it always ends up, me and him rapping back and forth, everybody ran out of rhymes, and we just going back and forth laughing at each other. Papa Wu was there the whole time, rest in peace. And, he came to us afterwards, and he was like, I want to sign y'all. You know, he's like, people who know how they operate gonna know what I'm saying, right? So he's like, I want to sign y'all, but you know, I'm not gonna give y'all no advance. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give y'all this work. You know what I'm saying? So y'all go back and I'm gonna give y'all this work at good prices, and y'all go back and sell this work and make the money, right? So number one, I wasn't with that. That's one, right? So you know, I wasn't with that, and then the other part of it was just like, you know, just a lot of different things just kind of went against my core beliefs as a person and stuff like that. So I was like, nah. I mean, I was definitely grateful for the experience and everything like that. And as we went home, we caught the bus home from New York, man, and we just went home like, man, we came up here, we really did it. Like, you know, we turned down the opportunity, but we really came up here to do what we did, and we did it. You know, so.
Oh yeah, and that experience has to be so, you know, amazing, and you know. You also mentioned that you were you toured with KRS-One.
I did.
And you guys were beefing the whole tour. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, it was a small beef. It was like, you know, beef jerky. It was small. It was small, but it's significant because it's kind of been documented by the fact that he has a song out on his album, Live This, I believe the name of the album is called. It was after the Key Bright album. But he has a song called Freedom. All you got is Google Freedom featuring Ishues. And if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm talking about him in the song. I'm not talking about him, I'm talking to him. And, you know, in the song I say, music don't make me, I make it to make it. Make sense, don't it? And if it don't, you suspend some more contemplation on it. I mean, I can go more deeper into the verse. But the point was, so I ended up on tour with KRS-One. Kind of to understand what happened, I kind of got to go through the beginning. So how we met was, long story short, he was performing at Apache Cafe, and I snatched the microphone from him while he was on stage, right?
Shit.
So let me back that story up a little bit. So the first time I seen him, number one, KRS-One has always been my favorite MC. Like, you know, those are the only tapes my mom and my pops used to let me listen to. Boogie Down Production and stuff like that, right? My Philosophy and all that. So KRS-One has always been number one in my book, right? So I went and seen him one year, and I was just starstruck. Seen him perform. I gave his DJ my demo. This is when I was in my demo stage as Ishues, right? So I gave his DJ my demo. I wound up seeing him like a day later, and you know, they invited us out to Atlanta, and he told me personally, like, yo, you dope. I was like, yo, appreciate it, man. He's like, nah, I thought he was just blowing smoke. He was like, nah. He started spitting words from my rhymes, right? So at that point, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, my favorite MC is reciting my words back to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gone right now. So that was the vibe I left at, but it was just a quick interaction. So fast forward maybe like a year later, he came back to Apache. So this time I went and I had all my little brothers with me, right? Well, not all of my little brothers because I got a lot of them, but I had maybe like 5 of them with me, you know what I'm saying? And they weren't really KRS-One fans, they was T.I. fans. So I remember the whole ride up there, we arguing back and forth about who's better and this and that and yada yada, right? So KRS performs. By this time, I've established myself in Atlanta now, you know what I'm saying? Killing everybody on the battle scene. I done rocked all these clubs, Apache Cafe, all this other stuff. So I got a little name out here, you know what I mean? So he came, so he performed, he rocked. So the first time he came, he said, anybody want to rock the stage, come to the stage. I ran up and grabbed the mic and jumped on stage. He had left the stage already. So I was just saying my little freestyle on stage. Wasn't nobody paying attention to me. This is the first time nobody paying attention to me. They was getting autographs from him. But I was just content in the fact that I was able to go on stage after him, right? So the next time, he started pointing people out in the crowd and inviting them up stage, right? So I'm in front of the crowd, I'm like, yo, you can't miss me. I'm 6'2", 200, you know what I'm saying? So you can't miss me. Plus, we spoke face to face. I'm looking at him like, and so I start to feel this type of way. So I'm like, nah. Drez the Beatnik was there. I walked around to the back of the stage. came around, I just invited myself up the stage. He looked at me laughing like, Ish, what you doing? I know what I'm doing, right? So I got on stage. It was a crowd of MCs. He was on stage. He would rock. He would come back, pass the microphone to somebody. And like one time I grabbed the microphone when he passed it, and he said, nah, give it to her. And I gave it to her. I was infuriated. When that microphone came back, when he came back with that microphone, I stepped through the crowd, I snatched the microphone from his hand, and I walked out in the middle of the stage, and I started just rocking the crowd. And I actually started, I can't remember what the chant was, the crowd response thing was, but I had the crowd saying my name, basically. You know what I'm saying? Yada, 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 issues, whatever it was, right? And I gave him back the microphone, and I walked off. You know what I'm saying? And I left the venue like, man, KRS-One, got in front of me, you know what I'm saying? I'm mad, like, you know what I'm saying? So my little brother's like, oh, how you go to a KRS-One show and have the crowd saying your name, you know what I'm saying? Man, you trying to front on me, yeah, right? So that was my energy, right? So fast forward another year later. I run into Minister Server, shout out to him, who was KRS's DJ at the time. And coming from a show that I didn't want to do. It was a show I wasn't getting paid for. It was at an elementary school, and they just was really excited about me being there. So although I had a bunch of stuff going on at the time, I said, you know what, I'm going to go. And I went, and it was a dope show. And I left the show, and at the light, I run into Minister Server. And he's like, yo, we about to go on tour. The information is this, and that. I said, all right, cool. Got the information, looked it up. Lo and behold, they was doing open auditions at a hotel in Atlanta for everybody to join the tour. So I went, me and my peoples, Hano, Yorma, we went, you know what I'm saying, Fort Knox. And it was my turn to go in there. When I went in there, it was KRS, Minister Server, and his manager, Metaphor. They were sitting at a table. We were supposed to go in there, put your CD in, perform your little song, whatever. He like, yay or nay. When I walked in the door, he was like, I remember you. And I was like, yeah. He was like, I went to put my CD on. He was like, nah, you ain't gotta do that. He was like, I already seen you. So like, I just need to know if you're afraid of the road. I was like, nah. He was like, okay, meet me here, yada, yada, yada. So we met up at the first stop. And if I'm dragging on too long, let me know. Met up at the first stop. And in order to explain the beef, I gotta explain how the tour started. So we met up at the first spot, and it was about 50 people there. He started handing out assignments. You're gonna go first, you're gonna go next, you're gonna go next, and then y'all gonna be breakdancing. You're gonna be on the djembe. You're gonna be beatboxing. You're gonna be over here hype man to me. You're gonna be on the other side. You're gonna be doing this. You're gonna be doing that, right? He went through the whole room. He turns to me last, and he says, I'm gonna get the crowd to a certain point, and then I'm gonna walk away. And I want you to pick up where I left off. And I'm like, everybody's looking at me like, and I'm like, yo, he's trying to set me up. So, long story short, he did it, and I knocked it out the park. So from then, I became the sideman. So there was an incident, this kind of led to the problem. There was an incident in Vegas where he was like an hour and a half late. And the rule was on tour, I didn't go out unless he went out. So I wasn't allowed to perform my own songs on tour. I was just his backup, his hype man, right? And then we would, every night he'd be like, yo, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more. So slowly I started throughout the tour, I started taking over his show. I get to the point in the show where I start freestyling, I start doing my thing, we start freestyling back and forth. And so we had built up a nice little relationship, together, right? So this day, we in Vegas, he's late. He's an hour late. He's severely late. We didn't ran through all the opening acts. The crowd is now throwing bottles. The situation is near riot now. They're stuck in the Vegas in Vegas Strip traffic. So I was forced to go get my music, put it on, and calm the beast. And that's what I did. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew me at all. They paid $25 a head to see KRS-One. And now they're in a volatile state. I went out there first, did an acapella. They stopped like, oh, okay, he nice. So then I had Montu go get my music, shout out to Montu, and started rocking. After a while, the crowd went from to So, 2 or 3 songs in, I got him now. And they rocking. And then he comes in. And then they go crazy. And in my mind, or not in my mind, I saved the show. He wasn't there to see that, but I saved the show. We go to LA. He gets to LA. He talks to an associate of mine and mentions to him. I don't know if he actually said it, but it got back to me that he said, I'm not an MC or something like that, or I'm not ready or something like that he said. I didn't like it though. So I approached him about it in a meeting that we had where he was trying to sign us, like trying to make us the new BDP. You know what I'm saying? It was me, my man Triune, my man Propaganda. Me, them, and KRS-One, we did an album together. It's called Foot Soldiers. Check it out, right? It's called Foot Soldiers.
Foot Soldiers.
Out on all major platforms. It's been a while now, but we all did like a compilation album, so we had worked together by this point. But me and him we had been having philosophical differences. We had been having a lot of differences on tour, me and KRS. And there were certain spots where we were cool, and there's certain spots where we wasn't. When he was KRS, I tell people like he got 3 personalities. There's KRS-One, there's Chris the man, and then there's the teacher. And depending on which one of those he is at the point, you're gonna get a different person. So me and KRS-One didn't necessarily get along, because KRS-One is super arrogant. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the one that'll, he thinks he's God on earth and all that. Like the lyrical MC, like he's super, super arrogant. Anyone who's ever worked with KRS-One knows that. Chris Parker, me and him got along famously, right? We talk about our families, we would sit chill, we go eat, whatever. The teacher, me and him had philosophical differences. His religion is hip hop, I'm Muslim, you know what I'm saying? So we would have philosophical differences. So by this point, we've been having a lot of right? So I showed up at a meeting, and I was kind of feeling a certain way about the comment, and long story short, some things were said back and forth, you know what I mean? It almost got volatile. He walked away, I went cooled off, and then the next day, I was supposed to fly out. This is the last time I saw him. The whole time we was on tour, I never knew he smoked. Never knew he smoked weed, right? So the last day we on tour, by this time, Grandmaster Caz and Busy B was on tour, and I had kind of built a relationship with them. So the last day I'm about to leave, get on the plane, me, Grandmaster Caz, and Busy B, like Busy B was rolling up a blunt. So roll up the blunt, we talking, we just like, whatever, right? KRS comes in, so he's like, this and that. So he's like, Ish, you about to leave, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm flying out to Atlanta. This is the end of the tour. So he said, yo, let me get that blunt. So he asked them for the blunt, and then he was like, come on. So we went over in private, and we just sat, me and him smoked the blunt together, just kicked it, politicked or whatever, and he was like, I want you to take this back to Atlanta with you, you know what I'm saying? And what I understood it as is like, we had our energy, but now it's squashed. So he sent me back home with a lot of love, man, and I always got a lot of respect and appreciation. But if you listen to my verse on the song that I did with him, you can hear how I'm talking to him when I'm saying the things that I'm saying in my verse.
Right. How good is KRS-One's weed? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if that was his.
So
I'm not sure. I think that was Busy B's weed, but it was pretty good.
I'd like to try and find out. See, I've smoked Sin Dog's weed from Cypress Hill. Yeah, I was proud of myself.
Yeah.
I think I did good, you know? Well, while we're telling the stories, there's one more thing I want to ask you about. You said your father had a run-in with Tupac.
Ooh.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. So I got a book coming out too, and because I've lived a very unbelievable life, and sometimes I tell this stuff and people it's unbelievable. Anyway, when I was in New Orleans as a kid, my father was a vendor. He belonged to a group of vendors that used to vend on Canal Street. Anybody ever been to New Orleans? Y'all know Canal Street, right? Okay. So they monopolized the vending game in New Orleans in the late 80s, early 90s. My father pretty much led the crew, and it was like my uncles and a bunch of other people. I used to work with them as a kid, talking about 10, 11, 12, 11, maybe like 11, 12. I used to go out every weekend and work with them. And like Mardi Gras and Lollapalooza, all the big things going on, I'm out there, you know what I'm saying? Late at night, 11, 12, 30, I'm on Bourbon Street running around, you know what I'm saying? So this is my childhood, right? So one day, I can't remember what year it was, whatever year Humpty Hump was a hit song. Whatever year that was, you can look it up. But we were selling bootleg Digital Underground shirts, right? We were selling bootleg a lot of stuff. But this particular, it was Lollapalooza. So all the vendors had like the bootleg Public Enemy shirts and all the acts that were performing at Lollapalooza at the time, everybody had the bootleg shirts and they were selling them, you know what I'm saying, making their money, you know what I'm saying? My pops had a big family, well, got a big family, so he out there trying to make his money, you know what I'm saying? So we out there, and at that time, seeing celebrities wasn't a big deal. Like, we was kids, like, we see Public Enemy and, you know, just Denzel and whoever, like, you know what I'm saying, want to be out there on Canal Street. Like, oh, that's a basketball player. Oh, that's David Robinson. Like, we seen, you know, so many different people. So this one particular time, I was a huge Humpty Hump fan. And this was, mind you, this was before Tupac Shakur had stretched out and became Tupac Shakur. This is when he was still a roadie for Digital Underground. So Digital Underground rolls up without Shock G. Rest in peace to Shock G. Which later on down the line, me and him actually became, after I became Ishues, we shared this story, and me and him became good friends before he passed. So, we out there, Digital Underground rolls up without Shock G, without Humpty Hump. And I recognize all of them because I was big fans. So I'm out there, so they roll up, so they're like, oh, y'all selling our shirts. So they all with the rah-rah, right? I remember Tupac Shakur specifically because he was the loudest one. He was the smallest, but he was the loudest one. He was the one with, so I'm paying attention mostly to him because he's the rah-rah guy. Out of the whole situation, he's leading the rah-rah. So at the time, I'm scared. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm scared, right? Because not only is, you know, Money B and all the different, you know, they all there, you know, they rah, 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 rah. Y'all selling our shirts, y'all selling our tapes. I'm sitting there like, whoa. But I'm also sitting next to my pops. And I know who my pops is, right? He's not to be played with. Point blank, period. That's all I'm gonna say about that right now. So we were sitting in the van. He worked out of a cargo van with no seats in it. You could pile all the merchandise in there and pile it out. So we sitting in the van. We had a van parked on Canal Street and the table parked in front of the van. So we sitting on the van, He sits down. I'm sitting on one side and my cousin is sitting on the other side. And he's just sitting there and they're like, we're gonna flip the table over. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do all this stuff, yada, yada. And he leaned over into me. He grabbed Tech 9 that he had, chambered, and he put it behind me. And he calmly said, if y'all flip this table over, none of y'all going home. And so now, it's this tense, like, because they don't really, he said it in a way, he didn't get up and start yelling and all that. He just matter-of-factly said it. Now, I know this man, and I know if that's what he said, that's what'll happen. Pack up and go, and we'll deal with the repercussions later. Because at the end of the day, he's selling this to feed his enormous family. You know what I'm saying? Enormous family. And right now, he ain't got no other way to feed them but this. So as it got tense, Shock G walked up. And this is the first time I realized Shock G and Humpty Hump was the same person. Before then, I was one of those kids that I thought they were two different people. Like, he ran that really good. But now I'm looking at him in his face and I'm like, oh yeah, they're the same person, right? So that was the first thing that came to mind. Second thing was, man, this dude's really cool. Cause he came, he's like, what y'all doing? Yo, they selling our shirts. We about to, He said, man, look, man, we about to perform at Lollapalooza. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Whatever this will lead to, it's not worth it. Just let it go, man. Let him have it. Let it go. And he left. And then later on, Shock G walked up on me at 40 Watt. Walked up on me at 40 Watt. I'm at 40 Watt at the bar. I'm performing at the C. Ray's Walls and Murs show. He walks up, sits next to me. He said, "Are you Ishues?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, I usually don't come in early for the opening acts and stuff, but since I've been here, everybody been telling me I need to see you. So I'm here." And I'm looking at him. He looks mad familiar. I'm like, and Fort Knox was like, "Yo, who are you?" He said, "Shock G." Right? So later on, I wound up running that story by him. I said, "Look, you ain't gonna remember this, but if I don't say it, this is my opportunity to say it. When I was 12 or whatever, and this happened, and da. He said, "I don't remember that, but that sounds like something that would have happened." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Oh, well, that's a cool story. And your father sounds like a really cool guy, man. Well, tell us about your latest release and some of your upcoming. What's on the horizon for Ishues?
Well, right now, Legacy is out on all streaming platforms. Y'all check that out. I'm going to do a couple songs from the album up here. So Legacy is out. It's produced by Soul Messiah, and it's featured Cyrock. And Cyrock is a really big artist. She was nominated for a Grammy She was nominated for a Grammy last year for her album Sharecropper's Daughter, which is a really great hip hop album. So he produced my album. That's out right now on all streaming platforms. And I just finished the album with Duddy Ken.
Right on.
Yeah, so we're in the process of getting that mixed and mastered. So that will be coming out around May, June. So that's that's the follow-up for that. And then me and Soul Messiah have been working on the follow-up to the first album we did. So I got the album out right now, Legacy. Produced by Soul Messiah. May or June, I'm coming out with, I'm not sure the name of the album yet, but, you know, produced by Duddy Ken. And then I got a follow-up album produced by Soul Messiah. It's probably going to come out at the end of the year, beginning of next year.
When do you sleep? Well, what's the best place for everyone to get in touch with you and just, do you have a website? What's the
I'm building my website right now. I am building my website. It will be up very, very soon. When it is up, I'm be launching it on all my social media platforms. So Ishues, Ishues, on Facebook. Just put that in there. It'll actually have Ishues and then my last name, Cuthbertson. So that's my Facebook. Ishues DA_artist is my Instagram, and Ishues DA artist is my YouTube page.
Right on. Well, we've got a little comedy coming up, but you're going to play a few songs from us from Legacy, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talking with us, telling all these good stories. All right, everybody. I'm going to come back over here to Jack Slayton. How you doing over here, Jack?
Doing great, doing great.
Well, one thing we need to announce is the return of Mr. J.D. Pincus, who will be coming to here to the lab with Daniel Mason and our own A.M. Rodriguez. So make sure you get your tickets for that. It's going to be a psychedelic, crazy evening. I mean, Jeff Pincus, JD, he is the fourth J.
The fourth J.
Me, you, Jeff Rapier, Jeremy Dyson, and Jeff Pincus. So, you know, I don't know what the Butthole Surfers mean to you all, but it really means a lot to me. So come on out and see JD Pincus, Daniel Mason, and A.M. Rodriguez on the 23rd. But right now, we have returning comedic champion, Miss Farrah Johnson. Everybody put your hands together for Farrah.
Hello. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. Let's go ahead and give it up for the dress. And let's give it up for the back of the dress. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to show y'all that. I got fat rolls, so we don't need to worry about how the back of the dress looks. How's everybody doing? Are y'all enjoying March and whatever season we're supposed to be in right now? I still don't know. I don't know how we ended up with summer in February, and now we got like third winter at this point. That's some bullshit. I was like, I picked the wrong outfit to wear. My coochie a little cold, but you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it. My tits look great in this dress. Woo! My favorite part about March is my birthday's in March. My birthday was last week. Yeah, this is probably the best response I got for this because nobody gives a shit when you turn 31. I learned that the hard way because apparently you're no longer allowed to be excited about your birthday after 30. Maybe it's just like me being a woman or whatever, but that shit was harsh. I kept getting excited and telling people, it's my birthday. My birthday's coming up soon. And they were like, yay. I was like, damn, y'all, this is depressing. I was like, after a while, they were just treating me like a dog on the beach eating a goddamn cheeseburger. It's like he's having the time of his life, but you know it's because he's got cancer. He's finna be put down soon. Like, fuck, you didn't have to. Shit, let me enjoy this. Just be happy for me. I got depression. I need this. But I don't know, it's kind of weird for women when you turn 30. It's like everybody's excited, and then after that, they just like expect you to die or disappear. And I still don't understand that. Or I guess we're supposed to be doing like we did in the 90s of, you know, back on the TV shows where everybody pretended to be like 29 forever. But baby, I had a rough 20s. That shit ain't gonna, you could tell. I'd be sitting up here being like, I'm 29. They'd be like, oh, baby, you passed 20. We know. It's okay. But also, I don't want to be 20 anymore. I'm sorry. My 20s were a mess. I was a mess. I mean, I'm still a mess, but I make it look a lot better now. Honestly, it's a little bit more organized. I got a planner. Be like, Thursday, be a shit show. Friday, work at 3 p.m. 12 o'clock, get rid of this hangover. But no, I think I pretty much got it down now. But like, my 20s were just too crazy and stuff like that. But I do admit, there are moments where I do miss my 20s. But I think I miss like the experience and hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. Because anytime I hang out with 20-year-olds, I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? We need to go home. Stop talking to that man. Get in the Uber. He's old enough to be your dad. Or the other one, he doesn't use lotion and doesn't have a bed frame. Let's go. I feel like everybody had to go through that one stage of your life, you know, in your 20s, where you're rather dating somebody that didn't have a bed frame or dating somebody that slept on a couch. And that was their bed. And I don't want to go back to that in my life. I really don't. It's crazy. But I think the worst part about it is I don't think that I'm old at 31. I think that I'm just an old 31-year-old. Like, I skipped over any possibility of having a midlife crisis and went straight into old ladyhood. Like, I ate right before this, and I was like, y'all, I'm not going to make it on stage. I had potatoes and bread. I was sitting in the chair and finna do that thing where your chin touch your titties and you just be... I'm not gonna lie, even doing that bit for the joke was hard for me because I was like, bitch, I could just take a nap right here. I am tired. I did this with wine too? Oh my God. I'm going to sleep after this. It's a mess. But no, I definitely am an old lady. I'm turning into my grandma. And I know I'm turning into my grandma because the other day I was hanging out with some friends and we were chilling and stuff, and I was like, I kind of want to go home and drink some Sanka and watch In the Heat of the Night. And I was like, bitch, you are not 80. It's like, damn. I do love my grandma, though. If it's, you know, both of my grandma and my mima were great women, and I love them because, like, you know, they got to that beautiful age of don't give a fuck. And I really want to live in that age, but I have to admit, some days my grandma don't give a fuck, scared the shit out of me because I be like, you can't say that in public, grandma. You know, like, people can hear you. Like, she just tell people, all right, I'm tired of you. I don't want you at my house anymore. Like, she tried to say it in a nicer way, but it pretty much come out like that. I think one of the worst things that my grandma says is like, she just don't give a shit and would be like, that's an ugly baby. And I'm like, grandma, those are relatives. People can hear you. I was like, oh my God. And like, it makes me really like nervous about that because I'm like, A, one day she gonna tell one of our relatives they have an ugly baby. Or B, she's gonna see one of our relatives grow up and be like, oh, you look so cute. Good, because you sure was an ugly baby. And I'm gonna be like, Grandma, you can't say that to people. That's technically bullying. Like, they have commercials about that now. Or 3, which is the biggest fear of mine, is I'm gonna have an ugly baby. And I can't take the baby over to my grandma's house. Because she gonna let the baby know, oh, baby, you look ugly. Oh, yeah. I don't think you got that from outside the family. I don't know where that came from. I ain't had no baby ugly grandkids. I don't know how that happened. Shit. My grandma don't cuss, but I just always imagine that she be cussing. I put the cuss words in there when I be telling the conversations I do. It be moments where she be sitting up here cussing out her neighbors. And she be sitting up here and she was like, I want to say this word, and this word. I was like, girl, you could have just called me. I would have said it for you. Put me on speakerphone. Oh, but I do love my grandma. Child. Sorry, I done got sleepy again and forgot what I was doing. Y'all come get me. I'm finna take a nap. I done got too old for this shit. Lord have mercy. Child, this dress too tight. I'm gonna need to take my shoes off in a minute. I understand Patty and Aretha at this point where they just be kicking the shoes off and be like, all right, I'm done. Child. But you know what? I am glad that I did make it to 31 because I'm doing amazing things like getting to talk to you guys and do comedy and having a great night. And I am so glad to see all of y'all. And this has made my birthday month a great month. So it's been great to see all of y'all. And it's great to talk to all of y'all. And y'all have a great time.
Give it up for Farrah Johnson.
I love you.
Farrah, what's happened since we last spoke?
I don't know. It got cold, and then it got warm again, and then it got cold again.
Right.
And then it got hot. And I think I went through menopause. I'm still not sure. I may be having a hot flash right now.
Me too. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you here real soon again. Everybody, Farrah Johnson. So I'm going to talk to Jack over here. We're going to have here coming up just in a minute some music. Yeah. Any last things you want to shout at everybody, Jack?
Well, thank you all for coming, and it's been a fun night, and we appreciate to see all your faces here.
Absolutely. And while we've got it right now, just want to tell you our next show's on 4/19, so you can get the day started early and come down here to us. And it's going to be our marijuana episode. So you're going to definitely want to come down and check it out. Now, marijuana is still illegal in Georgia, but you can probably sneak it in your tummy if I'm thinking right.
Decriminalized.
Yes. But coming next up to the stage, we have, please welcome, Ishues.
All right, so I'm just gonna share a couple songs off the album. Let's just go. How y'all feel? Y'all feel good? Y'all ready for this? All right, let's go. Share my thoughts and see what you like. So this song is called Musical Therapy. Yeah. All right, here we go. Listen, when the world get crazy, I can find peace. Yeah. Alright, here we go. Musical therapy, here we go. Yeah.
When the world get crazy, I can find peace. When I get a 5 beat and let my rhyme speak, I can say what I'm feeling in the way that sound appealing. Then I kill it while you watch like a timepiece. When I'm stressed out, music is my therapy. I ain't no Eric B, but check out my melody. Or I get into a zone and put on my earphones and drown out all noise that's stressing me.
Yeah. So I was really speaking to people with very short attention spans. It's like trying to withstand the odor of a chicken plant. Different than all of these other dudes on Instagram talking great to you going sit up on the witness stand. Passion for this rapping is the same as for this action. Talking face with my niggas, now you finally got some traction. Everybody want heaven, but nobody want dead. I keep a loaded chamber weapon next to my side of the bed. I'm like a German shepherd, bred for protecting the family. Because throughout the planet there was expanding insanity. Cancer is my zodiac, can't nobody hold me back. This is the end of the road for you dudes, like a cul-de-sac. Beats keep coming, I'ma just keep writing. Defeat means nothing, I'ma just keep fighting. I'm a lion. When I roll my loved ones, they nickname me Fahrenheit. Coward dudes talk tough, but
when the world get crazy, I can find peace. Why not get a 5B to let my rhymes speak? I can say what I'm feeling in a way that sound appealing, and I kill it while you watch like a timepiece. When I'm stressed out, music is my therapy. I ain't no Eric B, but check out my melody. Or I get into a zone and put on my earphones and drown out all the noise that's been stressing me.
slow it down. How y'all like that so far?
Yeah. Slow it down. Just breathe.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna explain a little bit further.
I know it
If music is your therapy, make some noise.
Just gotta find a way to manage, you know?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, similar to breathing and meditation. Writing lyrics is my way of finding relaxation. I'm the type of spitter that live off of my reputation for edutainment, so for that you need an education. Chasing greatness, I'm in the race with every step I'm taking. Trying to face it before my death is when all my breath is taken. Facing the way I pray, cause maybe that's my destination. Cause Western nations corrupting most of the population. Posthumous accreditation after I power down. Ain't my desire, I require most of my flowers down. So I'm grinding cause I'm reminded that tomorrow ain't promised. Building the crib and trying to live off the grid like the Amish. My accomplishments to this point is dwarfed by what is to come. My mother told me everyone will find a day in the sun. So I'm shining like one. My time has finally come, so I'm running like a sprinter after the sound of the gun.
When the world get crazy, I can find peace. When I get a 5B to let my rhymes speak. I can say what I'm feeling in the way that sound appealing, and I kill it while you watch like a timepiece. When I'm stressed out, music is my therapy. I ain't no Eric B, but check out my melody. Or I get into a zone and put on my earphones and drown out all the noise that's been stressing me.
Yes.
Check out my.
Alright, go to the next. DJ Jig, everybody. Make some noise for the DJ. Okay, stop this for a second. So, this song is called Polar Bears. The reason why I wrote this song, I actually wrote this song in 2022. And because of the astronomical amount of rappers that were killed in 2022 and 2021 and 2019. Hundreds. One of them, God rest his soul, EBE Montana, right here in Athens. I used to mentor the kid. I worked as a social worker for a while. He was one of my mentees. I used to mentor the kid, and he got killed on the bypass, road rage incident. And this happened in 2022. So when I wrote this song right after he passed. So, but it's addressing just the crisis that, like, I represent hip hop music, right? I don't consider myself a rapper. I'm an MC who can rap, right? And, rap music, that genre, just claim, rest in peace to Offset, right? Who's from here, you know what I'm saying? His father's from here, you know what I mean? I played basketball with his father. We grew up in the same neighborhood, Nelly B, you know what I'm saying? So I wrote this to address that. So we're gonna roll it, let's go. And it's called Polar Bears. Listen, and after it's over, make some noise if you like it. Here we go. There are hundreds of rappers dying on the yearly, and most make it into their 20s barely. It seems to be severely affecting what our future could look like. Most of them don't even look white. Listen, I ain't trying to play the race card, no shuffling in. But if it's dealt to me, I'm definitely gonna play it to win. KRS said when I was young, hip-hop was verbal magic. So be careful the words you use because it will attract it. Classics get played at funerals and at memorial shows. Through their music, how their stories get told, whether it's fact or fiction. Rappers' addictions, fad inventors, cataclysmically bad decisions, and tragically having the saddest ending. What is it about our music that makes so much death? It takes so many lives that still have so much left. Rest in peace to all the rappers that died in 21. Most of them young and black and died from violence with a gun, right? I don't know if somebody told you there's a lot of rappers dying like the polar bears. Yeah. On the endangered list. Somebody call it conservationist. Ever since Biggie and Pop, it seems like a whole lot of young rappers get shot a lot. That's right. I don't know if you know that I know. Rappers are in danger like the rhino. Listen, can we change the state that they're dying in? Without really addressing the environment? More rappers get killed every year than firemen. It's like when you rap, there's no retirement. What is it about the cities that we come from that breeds so much hatred we gotta run from? As soon as we get on, we investing in more than one gun. That full auto drinker with more than one drum. Yo, are we telling our stories or perpetuating behavior to keep us subordinate in accordance with the laws of the land? We live in dangerous. So much to get set up by those who hang with us. Yo, rest in peace to so many more names. Of rappers who died and so many more slain. Listen, spit in music, ponder their words, and be careful the way that you be using yours, yo. I don't know if somebody told you theirs. A lot of rappers dying like the polar bears. Yeah, on the endangered list. Somebody call a conservationist. Ever since Biggie and Pop, it seems like a whole bunch of young rappers get shot a lot. I don't know if you know that I know. Rappers are in danger like the rhino. Make some noise if you like that. As we proceed, what else we got? Okay. Y'all want to help me on this song? If y'all want to help me on this song, make some noise. Okay. This next song is more of a message than a song. I wrote this song in a very dark place. I talked to my manager, and he pulled me out of it by saying one thing to me. You're almost there. Keep going, don't stop. And a lot of times we get to a point in our life where we want to give up on things. We want to give up on that relationship. We want to give up on that pursuit of that job. We want to give up on our goals in the gym. We want to give up on our degree in school. It's too hard. But sometimes when you finally give up, you don't realize how close you was before you gave up. So it's more of a message than a song. And the message is simply, keep going, don't stop. So when I say keep going, y'all say don't stop. So keep going, don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's it. So y'all lend me y'all energy. We're going to rock this hook. We're going to reverberate that message because everybody in here got somebody that can use that message, right? All right, let's go. Yeah. You almost there. And people don't realize how close they are to their goals until they give up. So, the message and the vibe is simply this. Let's go. Yo, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're almost there. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're almost there. Listen, last stress before the finish line. It's let's get it time. This is what you train for when you first begin to grind. Last man standing in a room full of ops, cause I work around the clock. I'ma hustle till I drop. 6 a.m. I'm up and at it, cause that worm I gotta have it. I ain't wait for you to give it. I'ma step to you and grab it. It's the fabric that I'm cut from. So when I want some, I'm just in a savage pursuit. I'm on the hunt, so I gotta dig deep, just zone out and work. You gotta want it so bad it gets thrown out in church. Long as I'm breathing, I'ma keep it moving. The lesson here is that breathing is the key to movement. I'ma do is what I'm choosing to tell myself to get it done. Whether this work is round and set or this run, think of how much work you get in and just get charged. And the biggest adversity, the biggest lessons are. So keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're almost there. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, you're almost there, yeah. Ain't no giving up and giving in, I've come this far. So I'm powering through to the finish the way that I start. I know the muscles getting tired, but it's all mental. But fighting through it at this time ain't at all simple. In the fight against yourself, you gotta overcome. 3 miles and 30 minutes, that's a soldier run. Long as your heart keep pumping, them hardships coming. When it should turn in, it'll click like the car needs jumping. When it's hardships through, pay attention to the details. Desire can be powerful like horses on a V12. Defeat shall not enter into my mind. And your darkness will never, ever, ever cloud my If you win it, then you better win. That goes for anybody, rookie or a veteran. This is the medicine, and we can all use a dose of that. And so quitting is not an option, you too close for that. So keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're almost there. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're almost there. Listen, yo, when I say hip, y'all say hop. Hip, hip. When I say don't, y'all say stop. Don't. When I say hip, y'all scream out hop. Hip, hip. When I say don't, y'all scream out stop. Don't. Let's go hip, hip. Don't. Hip, hip. Don't. That's right. And that is my time, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody, welcome. Give it up again for Ishues. All right, everybody, that's our show for tonight. But I want to remind everybody of our 419 show with Seth Martin and me talking about medicine. So, until that time, smoke good weed, stay switched on, and we'll talk to you soon.
The Ratio Podcast Live is produced and directed by Eric George, executive producers Nick Gould and Johnny Ray. You can find the Ratio Podcast details at ratiopodcast.com. For more information about Cine and the lab space, please visit athenscine.com. This is Jack Slayton saying good night and don't do anything dramatic.